Battlefield is an immensely fun-filled franchise with infinite playability that is responsible for my favorite multiplayer game. And this year, with the announcement of yet another bland futuristic Call of Duty game, it seems DICE made the best choice by fighting back with the game-taking affront that many have demanded, but few have braved: a World War I shooter.
Hello, I'm Sarcastic and Fantastic, and I've always been fascinated by World War II and 50s culture. And I have plenty of games and movies to fit my interests.
Stinklets. Say auf Wiedersehen to your Nazi boss.
She'll let you fuck her for a chocolate bar.
It's not true.
It's not true?
No.
Okay, it's not true.
It's completely fucking true.
Boy, do you think Hitler'd fuck one of us for a chocolate bar?
I hope so.
But I can't really say the same thing for World War I, as way more has been centered on the Second World War for various reasons, like more varied gameplay with terrain and vehicles and that sort of stuff. But at the same time, that opens a whole new avenue for innovative games like Battlefield 1 and VERDUN to take stage. Unfortunately, all of these awesome ideas and innovation don't come with some mistakes. Don't get me wrong, I freaked out when I first saw the Battlefield 1 trailer. I wanted to make an example of the Call of Duty franchise to show what happens when you actually listen to your fans. So I actually want to make the game better by helping DICE fix the few flaws this game has so it can properly reach that goal. You dig?
Let's start with the really big one so you can save the nitpicking for later. Big glaring issue number 1, the game's gunplay. Battlefield is a franchise well known for its sometimes unforgiving realism. But it's also well rooted in two things: being a really fun and open-ended game, and being a modern shooter. Which is why it utterly pisses me off why disposable infantry are wielding technology that won't be properly implemented for another 5 whole years. Seriously, how does this even happen? This is World War I, DICE. At the beginning of the war, which is where most of the famous battles come from, standard infantry only had semi-accurate rifles, and if they were lucky, strictly mounted Maxim machine guns. Because this is only shortly after 1914. But what do the soldiers here have? Godly handheld pea shooters. Are you kidding me? This change in accuracy is a way bigger issue than it first meets the eye. World War I was so bloody because it was modern technology mixed together with ancient tactics. Only until World War II did those two things get to catch up to one another. And you want to spread that line more thin than it already was? Look, DICE, I know that you want to make a very fun game that is in similar fashion to the other titles in your franchise, but you cannot tell me that this isn't ridiculous. You are turning this beautiful World War I simulation into a sneaky reskin of your other games. No! This game is supposed to be different. Battlefield 3 and 4 are supposed to take place in our modern day and later. This is a 100-year time gap in the most rapidly evolving century in modern history. And you are trying to tell me this is the best you could show us at E3? Look, the game should have that same welcoming and distinctive Battlefield feel, but it should feel like combat from 100 years ago. We should have only 1 to 2 hit rifles, crappy semi-auto pistols, and station Maxim guns. And if you are going to try to make a magic handheld pea shooter from 100 years ago, can they not rival modern rifles and pinpoint accuracy and deadliness? These would be okay if they were highest level, inaccurate, and decently nerfed machine guns like the ones we saw late to the war. But the ones we are seeing here are completely ridiculous and don't feel like World War I at all. Which brings me to my next point, the maps. Okay, now close your eyes. Think about World War I in your head for a second. What do you see? Smoke-layered skies that extend to the horizon, endless lines of trenches with troops scurrying to position to guard against the oncoming onslaught of enemy troops storming across the muddy, barbed wire-littered no man's land as Maxim guns fire aimlessly at the scream steadily approach, and slow but skillfully manned biplanes ready to manually drop bombs onto enemy armored vehicles and troops below as the breeze drifts the green grass towards your trenches. Now get your eyes wide open, tell me what the hell this is. From what I've seen from E3, players are fighting over towns and crumbled ruins constantly with multiple tanks and OP one-man army weaponry. Well, let's see what's wrong here, shall we? First of all, the maps need to be mainly focused on the trenches. The very middle of the map can be whatever DICE likes. But the fact is, World War I was a war of trenches and foxholes. As a team retreats from the losing battle up front, they need to be falling back into defensive trenches set alongside their initial spawn, where the enemy is able to pick off the remaining defensive fighters, if they dare. That is what men found themselves in. Those situations are just what they experienced, and also fun, but very teamwork-oriented scenarios to find yourself in. The war had a lot of hand-to-hand combat and small skirmishes, and the map should reflect that. This game needs to take the things that made World War I so unique and take advantage of it here. Things like server selecting based on the different eras of the war, with early in the war centering on more primitive warfare, and later on the war being visibly more modern. It might seem like the way I decided to change around the gunplay is ridiculous, and I'm just inventing new ways to ruin the fun gameplay, but I want you to know that these small, yet loyal overall changes can make the game so much more enjoyable for a breath of fresh air, away from what you've come to expect, and completely blowing you out of the water with immersive gameplay. My friend Adam and I have a few concerns for gameplay mechanics we haven't seen yet, but we hope DICE gets right. For example, giving large amounts of air resistance to the biplanes and giving the correct flimsy, thin wood feel. Jets and other aircraft in the Battlefield franchise have been extremely easily maneuverable, even though Battlefield is meant to give an unforgivingly realistic experience. And that's fine. But now that a gritty World War I shooter is coming into play, I feel the perfect time to integrate resistant mechanics would be in a game during the first incarnations of vehicle warfare, where all the kinks and errors were not quite worked out yet, and open cockpits were gushing air into pilots' faces, where only the ace of aces could thrive. Great movie, by the way. And make sure that all of the planes are unique, and because of different bi- or tri-wing construction, the biplanes fly differently and are varied. Because in this period of time, these things were not exactly mass-produced, and each one was really a work of art, so definitely try to treat them that way, and make the diversity of classes crucial to the battlefield. In Battlefield 4, every soldier can be a one-man army, since they are armed to the teeth with deadly weaponry, but teamwork and all the different skills harbored from each individual class will be needed on the battlefield. And it would be awesome to see DICE strongly encouraging this type of gameplay, making the engineers make adjustments and improvements to areas of the trench. Adding a Maxim gun or collapsing part of an enemy's trenches and foxholes would be cool too. Or the recon class sneaking steadily past the enemy barbed wire to scout on the enemy, and leave a deadly surprise behind. Man, that would be such an amazing game. I think that the game VERDUN has done a lot of these aspects very well so far, and DICE also needs to know what made that game so successful, and understand what elements of Battlefield do and don't work with the World War I setting for the greater good of the game. So some other minor gripes I may have with the game is that the woman on the radio sounds just too perfect for World War I, or even II. And more static will need to be implemented, because it just feels weird and takes you out of the experience. But at the same time, the game is absolutely gorgeous, and when watching gameplay I feel like I'm actually in the shoes of a Wehrmacht soldier. And if they could just smooth out the game to feel like that consistently and keep up the immersion, we'll be looking at a great experience. And I have to give massive props to DICE, because it takes balls of steel to propose such a bold idea for a new entry into a primarily modern shooter. And none of the less to such a money and trend-fed corporation like EA. So props to DICE for such an awesome choice of concept. And good luck to topping Call of Duty. Hope it's as fun as Battlefront 2. See you guys next time. Ah, dang it! I didn't think I'd be shelling out $60 this fall, but the game looks so great. Recently I've been putting quite a bit of editing time, effort, and fun making these videos, and I'm not planning to end that trend anytime soon. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.